Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. Talk North is everywhere. Michael is in Florida in his old stomping grounds and near places where I've spent a lot of my time. I am still in Seattle following the Vikings game on Monday night, one of my favorite cities. And I actually looked down from the Space Needle, Michael, and saw the new hockey arena being built. It's really weird to me that Seattle's going to have a hockey team and not a basketball team. I talked about that with John Krasinski, but what a great city to be in.
Yeah, and I think it's they're taking Key Arena and they basically blew it out and are essentially building a new arena on using the Key Arena skeleton, if I understand it. And
that is right.
And it's supposedly going to be absolutely unbelievable. When we were at the draft in Vancouver, I talked to Lewicki a lot about what's going on in Seattle, and he was absolutely proud of the job they're doing with this arena down there. So it's going to be fun. 2021, it'll be here before we know it. A couple of years, we'll be talking about an expansion draft, and
you're looking forward to that.
Yeah, frankly, it's like Wild fans might have to stomach another loss of a key youngster. I mean, they're going to have to make a serious decision. The no move clause given to Matt Zuccarello means the Wild are going to have to expose probably somebody that they do not want to, and we'll see what happens there.
We have a new sponsor on the program and on the network, Grey Duck Vodka. That's Chad Greenway's new company. They are everywhere, and now they are working with us. We're going to try to do some cool stuff with them as we can move forward. Tell you more about them later. This is the Michael Russo Show, also the Russo-Souhan Show. Really just the Russo Hockey Show is probably what we should be calling it. Thanks to our producer, Brandon Morton. Follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod for some deals we have coming up and some expansion news we're going to be announcing in the next couple of months. And, of course, we'll tell you more about Grey Duck Vodka, and we'll try to work in some specials and things like that. Thanks to our other sponsors, Twill in the Edina Galleria, Fixology Repair, Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent, and Tin Shed. Our next two live shows at Tin Shed in Savage are December 11th and 30th at 7 p.m. Please come out and have a good time with us. Maybe we'll do something special with Grey Duck at one of those shows. And also thank you to Bite Squad. The promo code is TalkNorth if you want to use that and get a delivery fee waived. All right, let's start with what is kind of consuming NHL talk right now, which is Babcock, Crawford, abusive coaches. You're the expert. I'm just going to let you take that where you want to go.
Well, I mean, it's just an interesting time in the league now. This started with Babcock and Mike Commodore really going after him and publicly, and then all of a sudden, the Mitch Marner story came out where he basically had Mitch Marner write down the players on the team that he thought didn't work the hardest, and then not only did he do this to a young rookie, a future star, but then Babcock delivered it to the team. Absolutely stupid move to do. And more stuff has come out about Babcock now. Johan Franzen went public in Sweden about just how much he despised life at the end as a Detroit Red Wing. This is one of the most proudest, one of the proudest Red Wings in history. And the fact that his career ended in miserable fashion is a shame. And, Babcock, as a lot of people like to say to him, the guy that thinks he invented hockey, he's just he's dealing with the public perception now of just being just a bad guy. I mean, and there's been lots of it. I mean, just imagine you got to be a special kind of jerk to take Mike Modano in his last regular season game, what would have been his 1500th NHL game, and scratch him. I mean, that's a special kind of jackass move right there. And so Mike Modano ends his career by being a healthy scratch and playing 1,499 games. I mean, if that doesn't say everything right there, I don't know what does. Then Peters, similar stuff comes out. Not only that he used racial slur on Kima Lou, back in when he played for Rockford in the American League 10 years ago. But then in Carolina, the fact that he physically assaulted players on the bench and things like that. Now he's lost his job in Calgary. Rod Brind'Amour came out, the coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, admitted that it happened, said that they addressed it with Ron Francis, the GM at the time, and Peter Karmanos, the owner at the time. I've talked to players that were around that team, and they like, one, the way that Rod Brind'Amour explained it, and two, agree with him that it was dealt in a proper fashion at the time. But Peters is now gone. Now all of a sudden, same stuff is coming out with Mark Crawford. I heard a story today about a coach that grabbed a player by the throat, put him up against and I'd be shocked if this doesn't come out. I don't want to say who it is, and because it was hearsay, but a player that was on this team at the time said that he grabbed another player by the throat, put him up against a wall, took a coffee pot, looked like he was going to hit this player in the head with a glass coffee pot, and instead hit the wall next to the player's head and shattered it all over the place. So we're at the day and age now where all these players that didn't have social media at the time that are now retired and have nothing to lose are seemingly systematically going one by one after coaches for bizarre behavior back in the day. I covered Mike Keenan here in Florida, and I could tell you story after story of stuff that Keenan did that was very manipulative and issues with young European players. I wrote about one instance where Mike Keenan put Christian Huselius, I wrote this at the time years ago, put Christian Huselius on a folding chair in the middle of the locker room and absolutely undressed him in front of everybody. And it just absolutely destroyed this guy, and players had to get involved there and stop that from happening. It just all of a sudden, things that might have been the norm back in the day are just coming out because players have nothing to lose anymore and are just going after these coaches. So, you almost wonder what's next. I'm sure there are a lot of coaches right now thinking, God, what did I do back in the day that wouldn't be accepted in today's day and age?
Do you think hockey is different or worse than most other sports?
I honestly think it's the same. I mean, maybe I'm out to lunch, but you think that Chuck Daly didn't do crazy stuff to his players? We see how football coaches act. I just think that now hockey's the one where players are willing to go public with this. I can tell you that I've talked to a lot of players this week that aren't happy that players are just taking to Twitter about it. There are proper avenues to go. And I'm not blaming these people. These people felt like they were abused and they can deal with it whatever they want. But there are proper avenues that you can go through the NHL and the NHLPA if you feel like there were wrongdoings done against you. At the time and after the fact. So, I just think that coaches, professional coaches, a lot of them sometimes cross the line, and maybe back in the day it wouldn't be considered crossing the line. I'm going to have Lou Natty on one of my podcasts on Wednesday, and Lou was telling me over dinner last night some things that Mariucci did to him that today would not be allowed, and frankly, he deep down doesn't think it was a big deal. I mean, stuff about punching him in the head even and things like that, physically assaulting him. We'll talk about that actually on Wednesday's podcast.
But that is something, and I know that old school people take pride in that. Hey, I survived it. You should be able to survive it. It just shouldn't exist, though. It shouldn't happen. And just because somebody was able to get through it doesn't mean it was the right thing for somebody to have done to them.
Yeah, no doubt. And certain players can take it. Certain players can't. I mean, again, I come back to Keenan, who is probably the hardest coach that I've ever had to deal with, both with players and frankly to the media. He and I had many run-ins. We get along now, but at the time it was not comfortable covering him because I wrote what I saw. And the one crazy thing about Keenan is he always had guys that he would essentially go after. He had the doghouse line in Florida. That was Christian Huselius, Valerie Bure, and Matt Cullen. And these are three good players, but what was crazy is he would just pick and needle, and it was unbelievable how he treated Val Bure. And yet Pavel Bure, Val's brother, was on the same team, and he treated Pavel like absolute gold. So it's like deep down in Keenan's mind, he didn't even care that he was terrorizing one brother, but not the other. It was crazy stuff. And so, I do think the coaches got away with a lot of things back then that there's just no way they could now, with the media attention, with social media, with the fact that players are are courageous now and have these voices that they're willing to say whatever. And so now the league's got, the league's got a lot of work to do, because they're going to probably, more of these stories are going to come out. I will say that I've looked at a couple of social media accounts in the last couple of days of players that I know had wrongdoings done against them, including the one that I heard about today with the coffee pot, just to see if they're going public, because it's just, you just almost expect it now.
Yeah, we're going to get to Twitter questions. We're going to get to Fiala and Koivu and some wild issues, of course. I do want to thank Twill in the Edina Galleria. I'm wearing my favorite Twill traveling shirt now. It's a Peter Millar shirt. It looks like a really nice dress shirt. You could wear it with a tie. You could wear it with jeans. I wear it when I travel because it's kind of that athletic stretch material, so it looks like a dress shirt. It feels like, a sweatshirt or something like that. Check it out at twillmn.com or Twill Edina on Instagram. I'm here with my wife, Stacy. We went to Twill in the Edina Galleria the other day. We saw Scott Dayton, and I bought the nicest sport jacket I've ever owned, the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. They're Bracks. A nice pair of loafers that I can wear to the ballpark. I think they're called Tracks. And I bought a bunch of Stenstrom short sleeve shirts to go with my Stenstrom nice dress shirts. And, I used to wear just disposable clothes. Now when I buy something, I buy it at Twill. I know it's going to last me the rest of my life, and it's going to be comfortable.
And on top of that, it's not just the best stuff you've ever had, but it's really everyday things that you can wear and that will fit all occasions.
Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill on Instagram. I want to get to, we might go back.
The other thing just on this subject, Jim, is I would love your opinion on like right now, do you think that these guys' careers are over? Could Mike Babcock, one of the most decorated coaches in NHL history from the standpoint of winning Stanley Cups and gold medals, Bill Peters, who's been hired by Hockey Canada 1,000 times, Mark Crawford, who's been around absolutely forever, was Colorado's coach when they won the Stanley Cup against Florida here in 1996, and I can't remember, he was either coaching Colorado or Vancouver in 2003 when the Wild played them. Do you think that they should never work again because of this? Because I gotta be honest, I don't know who hires them now. If you've got to deal now with the backlash of fans and media if you go and give them a job.
If I were in the hockey business, I would not hire them. Sitting where I sit, I would say I don't think they should work again. I think there are some lines you do not cross. Yeah. And listen, there are old school coaches in every sport. But Bill Belichick never touches his players. I think the only two sports these days where you might have a head coach actually get physical with a player are hockey and college football, because hockey is a tough, violent sport, and college football coaches think they are royalty and they think they can get away with anything. I don't think you would see it happen in any other sport, and I think in most sports the player would just beat the crap out of the coach if it happened these days.
Yeah, no, it is. It's unbelievable. And Bill Peters, I got to think he's done. And he's. You remember when I wrote last year in the game that Matt Dumba got hurt when Bill Peters out of the blue just starts talking like smack on the ice to guys like Zach Parise and Eric Stahl, who played for him in Carolina, and that was the type of stuff that just infuriated Wild players at the time. Bill is the guy that sent, when Dumba had a clean hit, or what the league deemed a clean hit, on Michael Backlund in that Calgary game a week before the rematch, he sent the guy over the boards to go and jump Matt Dumba, and wound up fined $10,000 because of it. Because the guy was, I can't remember the player's name, but he's on the ice in the final minute and instigated a fight. In the NHL, you get a 1-game suspension and also a $10,000 fine for the coach if you instigate a fight in the last 5 minutes. It's Bill Peters seems like an absolute piece of work. There's no doubt about it.
Man, we have a lot to get to here. This is a fairly tight show because Michael's on a schedule, so am I. We do want to once again welcome and thank Grey Duck Vodka. Again, Chad Greenway's new vodka company. I personally can highly recommend the vodka tonic as an underrated drink, the vodka soda. Chad would only be involved with a high quality product. We'll be telling you more about his company and his product as we move forward.
When we asked you to get the duck out, wow, did you respond? Grey Duck Vodka is now in over 1,500